from 1A, 2A to 3A, so that way we don't
Yeah.
have to.
All right, everybody. Welcome. I'm with Dylan Perdomo. We're here to recap the MAIS championships that happened last week. Starting on Thursday, you had Briarfield Academy and Wilkinson Wilkinson County Christian Academy. I mean, 32 to 18. Um,
Yeah, yeah, just a very good dominant performance by Briarfield Academy. I mean, just from the very start of the game, they just really got after it. I mean, they did not let off the gas any. Yes, we did see WCCA. They did click a couple times to keep the
yeah,
game close, but Briarfield just stayed completely dominant. And when I'm looking at the stats right here from Briarfield Academy, total yards, they had 329 total yards. That's a very good total yards for a state championship game comparing to
yeah,
WCCA's 177 yards.
yeah. That quarterback for Briarfield, he was really good. Um, and
Yes.
and that's what they did most of the time was run it with the quarterback. And good job by the offensive line. Good job by them for blocking and creating open lanes, and just a really dominant performance.
What
I
what
mean,
gets me what kind of got me really good when I'm looking. You see, I've done my homework. I have our bracket here. I've
yeah,
done my homework for this one. When I'm looking at WCCA, I'm noticing right here. If you can, I don't know how if you have the bracket pulled up, but you look at the number 2 seed Lee Academy from Arkansas.
yeah,
This team beat Riverdale Academy in the quarterfinals, 64-22.
yeah, yeah.
WCCA beat Calhoun Academy 62-44. And then the next week when Lee Academy and WCCA played League, WCCA took out Lee Academy. That scored at 64 now in that past game and beat them 22-14. That's what impressed me more from WCCA when I look at this bracket here.
Yeah, looking at WCCA, they you know, the game, you know, the game between Calhoun and Lee, two different games. You know, one was pretty close, and the other was a blowout. But yeah, WCCA, they got a bye, so they were the 3 seed, pretty good team, but Briarfield was too much to handle. Um,
Now, let me. I know we're kind of coming off topic on this one, but when I look at this, also the first round, the number 5 seed TA against MA. You just gotta believe the score on this one for first round. I think this is a real first round ball game for a state title. It was 70-62, and
yeah,
they and I know it's 8-man football, but that's what has impressed me, especially last year and this year's 8-man football. A lot of people think 8-man football is just crazy, but
yeah,
when you actually look at the scores and you look at how these teams play, and I'm looking at both 1A and 2A 8-man football.
yep.
8-man football is a real deal in MIS. So
Hey,
like, I don't,
yeah,
I would not underestimate a 8-man football team. I would
no,
not underestimate that.
yeah, 8-man football. They can put up some points. I mean,
And they really get after it. That was what last year we talked about this. We talked about this in private some last year, but I said the two best games that whole state championship weekend was the 1A and 2A game, and that's probably surprising given that's 8-man football, but 8-man football is the real deal. So I have to applaud to these 8-man football games. They've really grown up and being the best games in MIS football.
Yeah, yeah, you talked about last year. Pretty close. Pretty close games for 8 man.
And we and remember, if you don't remember last year, remember you and me before Simpson played. We watched the 8-man football game finish, and we saw a quarterback ran a 50-yard touchdown as time expired to win the football game
Yeah,
last year, and
you
that was just
never.
incredible itself.
Yeah, you never can tell. But wrapping this 1A game up. Um, Briarfield. They just took it to them, and I don't know if they made it last year or not. They might have. I can't remember, but
Now, I think last year's 1A game was probably. I think 1A game last year was that Sharky institution that we saw
oh
win the
yeah,
state championship before Simpson.
yeah, that was right. So yeah, but you never can tell. Briarfield was a better 1A team, and and WCCA they just couldn't keep up. But going to the 2A, um, you
Two
had
A game. The 2A game to me, I will give my opinion for the 2A game. The beginning of the game, first half was pretty close. Second half, it was kind of disappointing because I wouldn't say disappointing like boring, but it was more like disappointing on Tunica Academy because they could have really kept the game closer and closer, but DeSoto just blasted fire
yeah
against Tunica Academy, and it just shows it right here on the paper. But when I'm looking, if I can get my stats to pull up here, but
good
when I'm
good
looking at but I'll let you have any comments to the
yeah
You got any comments to the 2A game?
yeah just the Soto school what a dominant win for them. They the it was pretty close, but Tunica couldn't keep up. If you want to go over, if you have it pulled up, go over the stats. Um, but yeah, 58-32. That's just a blowout. But yeah, they just took it to them, and the offense the offense was clicking, and DeSoto they had a pretty good defense. So pretty dominant performance by them. Um, but you know if you looking at the rest of the bracket before that, DeSoto had they won by a large margin every game. So it wasn't like it was close, but they played Newton Academy pretty close, 40-30. But yeah, I mean in the two way, the Soda was just a better team.
Yeah, it was just a better. They just played better. Here we go. Finally, sorry.
You good?
Well, when we look at the score, when I'm looking at the stats right here, and I'm looking at the paper, when you're looking at paper showing 58-32,
Yeah,
that's paper. But when we're looking at the stats here, I'm looking at the Sotos. They got for total yards of the game 452 yards to Tunica Academy's 324.
yeah.
And
Um,
Tunica had more passing yards than they did against DeSoto. They had 258 to DeSoto's 54. Rushing, this is where DeSoto really won the game was their rushing. 398 to Tunica's 66.
yeah, that's a big difference there. And
What does
they're
this there is this one thing that you and me we have always discussed about. And this is kind of hurtful to say, but combining both teams, they had 20 penalties. That's combined.
Yeah,
So it's kind of
you're,
disappointing because it's like a state championship game. You should know. I feel like as a coach, you need to understand that these teams, penalties can cost you games. You can
hmm
get you can make as many plays as you want, but when you get the penalties in a game, it hurts you as a team.
yes,
And that's where and it's kind of like where I'm kind of disappointed in some of these when I'm looking at the stats earlier today when I was studying earlier. The penalties were just unbelievable. And there was a lot of and there I will say, I will say, yes, you and me, we've been around football and MIS stuff for a long time, and we know that we have trouble with the calls that are made sometimes.
yeah,
But I look, it's very disappointing how some of these teams, when you're playing in a championship game, you gotta limit the penalties and you gotta limit mistakes. Like there was a lot of fumbles in a lot of games that I saw. It was just disappointing to me. Just very, very
yeah.
disappointing.
Like you said, penalties can really, they can really haunt you if you're not careful. But it didn't really, if you look at it, it did at the end of the day, the penalties didn't really matter in this game. But it's just concerning. 20 penalties for both, uh, altogether for both teams. But that's I think especially 8 man, you seeing a lot of penalties happen. But yeah, just two-way, really dominant performance by the Soto over Tunica Academy. Um, moving on to 3A. What's your takes on 3A?
3A was I would say this is kind of get to the better part of football, kind of like better when I'm looking at the 3A and the 6A. I think this is like our two better football games throughout the weekend.
Yeah,
Very, very good by Kirk Academy. I had this. I actually had this team picked to win this year. Coming into this game, they were going to really be tough, but I knew Marshall County they were going to try their best to try to keep it close. But I got to hand it to Kirk County. They really play outstanding job on my stats right here. We got from Kirk County 270 total yards compared to their Marshall Academy's 217 passing yards. Marshall wins the passing yards 109 to Kirk Academy 69, and then the rushing yards were pretty close now. 201 rushing for Kirk, 108 for Marshall Academy.
yeah, um, yeah. Kirk Academy. They, if you look at it, I mean, they're the better team. They really, you know, they really, but the most part, really controlled this game. Um,
But
and
here's some disappointment in the game for you. When I'm looking at penalties, we got to go on Marshall Academy with 9 penalties, 65 yards, added all. Kirk Academy 5 penalties, added to 64 penalties and all. And then this one was kind of disappointing. Both teams 5 fumbles in that game, and also 7.
yeah, they really,
Like I understand mistakes happen, and
yeah,
we know this. Mistakes happen. They always happen. You don't. We're not Nick Saban. We don't expect to be perfect 100%. But you got to understand, and this is for any team. It doesn't matter who you are. If you're a girls team, a boys team, in any sport, whatever it is, you got to learn the mistakes when it comes to the games that are most important, the mistakes really don't need to happen. They don't need
No,
to happen at
I mean,
all.
yeah, like the number one thing to win a game is to take care of the ball, and if it don't matter if it's any sport, you can't, you know, turnovers can definitely cost you. But
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 when I'm looking at the bracket here, I'm kind of surprised when I'm looking at these stats from the championship game compared to the games they played in the semifinals. So, like Marshall Academy played River Academy, close game, 22-12. Kirk Academy in a close one against St. Joe Green in Greenwood, 34-30.
yeah,
Those are two very close games, and then coming to the state championship game and having over 200 yards combined and staying close in the stats to where the scoreboard is saying 35-10 for Kirk Academy. It's actually impressive to me.
oh yeah,
And
Kirk.
then with even Marshall Academy, the week before they played Riverfield, okay, they played Greenville Christian. They won 28-26. That's a very good close game.
Yeah, it wasn't. Marshall. I mean, it was a roller coaster for them to get here, but they pushed through it. But on the other side,
And keynote this: Marshall Academy beat the number one team in the bracket, Riverfield Academy, that next week in the semis. I didn't really look at the seeds pretty good, but I just now see that in the seeds that Riverfield was number one. So that's actually good for Marshall being in the state championship game after knocking off the number one team in the bracket, which could have been the team that could have won the state
yeah,
if they
no,
were playing the Kirk
yeah,
Academy.
yeah, no doubt. That is impressive. But yeah, just Kirk Academy was really really controlled the game, only allowing 10 points, and and so, but yeah, Kirk Academy 35, Marshall 10. All right, now, um, 4A.
This is this is probably the most. This one was probably the disappointing game of the weekend. I will go for it on this one.
Yeah, Tri
I
County.
think everybody. I think if
Uh,
everybody saw this game, they would say it was pretty disappointing.
yeah, Tri.
But but the stats on here are closer than what the scoreboard says. How about that?
That is something. Um, yeah, Tri County 27, Bowling Green 3, and don't get me. I mean, don't get me wrong, but the Bowling Green has some pretty big players. Uh,
They do.
obviously, they ran it most of the time, but um, yeah, Tri County just a really good 4A team, and they have some really good players. Simpson, they played them, and they got some really big old boys too. But yeah, just
So my mistakes that really Bowling Green was disappointing was the field goals. They had two opportunities to. The score really and truthfully should be 27-9, but we missed. But two field goals were missed because I understand as a coach you have to go with what you got, especially when you're going for three. Like it's better to get it. But here's where a lot of coaches make a mistake: is that when you kick a field goal, like the first field goal, 42-yard field goal, it was clean through. It looked like it was clean through the pipe. Like even I thought he made it, but he missed it, and then turn around before halftime, kick another 42-yard field goal, and had basically the same result. And that kind of disappointed me because I was like, okay, like even though like yes, go with what you got, but I feel like when you realize there's a certain field goal range that you missed the first time, I wouldn't try that again on a second go round.
No, you mean you might as well just go for it at that point.
Either
But
go for it, or even if, but if he would have got lucky and made it, then I would have said, okay, maybe that first one was just a hiccup. Now this one was outstanding. But the fact that he missed the two field goals, the kicker missed two field goals, same yardage, it just really disappointed me. But when I'm looking at the stats here, as we said, state championship score 27-3, but total yards from Tri County 289 to Bowling Green's 226.
mm-hmm.
That's very close.
Yeah, no doubt. But I think yeah, for me, Tri County defense, Tri County got enough stops, and Bowling Green, I mean, they couldn't keep them out of the end zone, and so, but yeah, I mean, it was I mean, early in the game, pretty close, but second half, Tri County just ran with it, and Bowling Green, you know, they impressed me this year. Didn't really think they'll be any good, but they 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 had some pretty big wins. If you look at the bracket, you know they deserve to be in the championship, but it just wasn't enough to beat a really good Tri County team.
Yeah. Well, I think my opinion with Tri County is still going to stay as it always has. When I'm looking at Tri County and I look at the people that's on the teams that's on this bracket, I don't see any really good competitional teams when you look at the 6A and the 5A. Like, I still don't believe in Tri County being the best, that good team as everybody's saying it is. But because I don't think the competition that's on this bracket is not
Yeah,
matching with when you're looking at a 5A and a 6A bracket, if that makes sense.
yeah, no doubt. Yeah,
Because I think for Tri County to really prove that they are that team that we've been talking about and that they're hyped to be, they need to try on a 5A bracket like how
yeah,
Simpson does.
yeah. Maybe they could maybe they can move up a level. But yeah, so but now uh moving to 5A.
Yeah, this is like our subject that we could talk a lot about because especially throughout the whole bracket,
Yeah,
obviously we've been with Simpson Academy for the first game, so we need to throw we can't talk about football without talking about Simpson football. Just
but
first round, good win over Heritage Academy, 47-21. Of course, you and me, we was on the sidelines of that game.
yeah.
It was just so much fun. Like just
But,
watching how Simpson struck first early in that game, it really thought we were going to see a whole different Simpson team than what the season looked like.
yeah, you know, yeah, speaking of Simpson, yeah, me and you, man, we played for Simpson, and you gotta give them credit. Couple of our we got some good friends on the team, and you know, I wish nothing but the best, but I think they played hard. Man, I didn't want to. Nobody wanted to end, but you have to. We'll talk about Leak, but you have to give it to Leak. They're a much better team, but
Especially beating Magnolia Heights. I think that really shocked more people than
yeah,
Parkline beating Capaya because I look at because I did not have Leak Academy going to the state championship game.
No,
Not because they played against Simpson. No. It wasn't because of that. I just didn't
yeah,
see Leak Academy. If okay, if they would have, if we're going back and talking about before Simpson League play, if they would have beat Simpson, which they did, I did not see them beating Magnolia Heights. I just
no,
did.
I didn't either. I thought, I thought Magnolia Heights was
So
the
I have to give the League Academy some credit. Like they came into that championship game as a very good underdog team that had potentials to win. I
yeah,
really do. I really believe that.
yeah, no doubt. I can speak for them. That whenever we played them, they just made the plays. Um, and they have a really good quarterback, and he's quick. He can get out in space. He can run, and they have the receivers. So, but I thought, but Park Lane, man, 70-42. You know, it
Just dominant.
Yeah, no doubt. They just took it to Leak. Um,
You're gonna love the total yards that Park Lane had in this game.
what's that?
577 yards.
Dang, they
But number 11, Jax from Park Lane, 6 rushing touchdowns,
dude,
278 yards.
dude, watching watching a little bit of that game, they couldn't stop him. They
They they really put their best. Park Lane Academy really put their best game forward into this game, and they really just show League Academy. Basically, they showed League Academy the gate when the from the opening kickoff. They showed them the exit to the gates
yeah
already.
they it like you can say it was over before it started because Leak had. I mean, for a minute, they were stopping. They were getting on the field. They were moving the ball down the. They were moving the ball. But if you if you can't stop if you can't stop somebody for scoring 6 touchdowns, it's going to be a long night.
Yeah,
Uh,
especially I mean that was just impressive for me. Just when I'm looking at this, 6 touchdowns. That's basically that's basically been their whole. That's basically been the whole strategy. Just rushing for touchdowns.
yeah, yeah, Jax Toller. He's you know 6 foot, 175 pounds. That's a big guy to play running back. But and he had the speed and the quarterback. I mean, quarterback made some plays too, but it was basically handing the ball off, and he just took off. But yeah, good win.
Um, Only other thing for Lake Academy, I will say that it is disappointing to have 4 turnovers in that game.
Yeah, that is that is disappointing. I mean, you can't make turn. You can't the game you don't want to turn the ball over is a championship game because that's the most important game. But I mean Park Lane, you know, I knew when they came to 5A they were going to win it.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think a lot of people expected it, but I think some people had some higher hopes that somebody can beat them in
yeah,
the end. But I think everybody knew what was coming. And what really shocks me the most when I'm looking at the bracket is that the defending 5A champions, Adams Christian, they were the number 10 seed in the bracket, and they lost in the first round to Lamar. For me, when I'm looking at a team that's defending the state championship, For
That's
me,
that's tough.
if you're defending a championship, and this goes to any team, football, basketball, girls, men,
Yeah,
women, boys, whatever, when you're a defending champion, you gotta. We know when seniors go out, you
yeah,
have your next group in, but it's also like you need. If you're a defending champion, you should have the same expectation as that senior class had the year before. That it's really disappointing to me to see the defending state champions at a number 10 seed and then losing to the first round, whereas they should be the team that should be back in the state championship to defend their title against basically a newcomer like Park Lane Academy.
yeah. Adams Christian. You know, they were, they were winning most of the game, and Lamar came back and won 21-20. But yeah, Adams Christian, you know, we get I mean, whenever we played them last year in the championship, they had some pretty good players. And you always want to, after you win a championship, you always want to go in the next season and try to repeat that. And they just couldn't do it. But yep. So the new champion, Park Lane, 70-42 over Leak Academy. And now the most exciting game I probably ever seen.
That was probably the most exciting game of all the weekend.
Yeah, they, you know, back and forth. A lot of
Let's just say it was the best game from the word kickoff. Just
yeah,
outstanding performance by both Jackson Prep and Hartfield Academy. Which keynote last year, Hartfield Academy really dominated Jackson Prep in the
yeah,
state championship game last year. And then coming from Jackson Brett this year, just really putting the fight against Hartfield Academy. This 6A ball game by far was the best game of the entire weekend. And I really wish, sometimes you can't help it on some things, but I wish every state championship game was like football game was like the 6A game.
yeah,
Just outstanding effort by both teams. Was there mistakes made? Yes. But when I'm looking at the total yardage, 300 exact to 245 Hartfield, that was just outstanding. The passing was very close. The rushing, of course, had more for Hartfield. But I
yeah,
mean, the first downs, the total plays, the rushing, the completions, the red zone plays, time of possession, everything there just made this game exactly how we should see a state championship game go.
yeah. No doubt. And I mean, both fan bases were really into it. They Hartfield last year really, Prep had no chance last year. Hartfield was
I
just
don't think any team had a chance against Hartfield last year.
no, no, no. Hartfield was a better team in 6A last year, and they proved that once again. And Hartfield has some really good talented players.
Yeah.
Some really
When I look at the stats for the rushing for number one, West,
yeah,
three touchdowns. That's it. I mean, that was basically
yeah.
that shows you right there. Three touchdowns for this dude. Really got after it. Um,
Uh,
the
Brett,
only thing I will get from this game was that Prep had them in their to win, but of course they made the mistakes that you shouldn't make, and that was penalties. Two pass interference penalties called on them towards Hartfield, which I will say I do disagree with one pass interference penalty. I don't believe that should have been called. The second one I can believe. The first one should have been called. And but again, like we said, combining both teams, they had 15 penalties in this game. So it really goes back to our main topic: just penalties in state championship games don't need to happen. The mistakes needs to be limited. Really shouldn't have them. But all in all, when I'm looking at the stats and the scoreboard, and then from me watching the game, just a perfect way to end a good weekend of football. Despite Jackson Prep the week before beating Jackson Academy 37-0, and then Hartfield coming back against MRA winning 17-14. That was a great game. I wish I would have watched that one. That was a very good game by Hartfield coming out on top in the end to win that one from behind the back.
Yeah, yeah, and a crucial, a crucial part was the last drive. Prep fumbled, and
Yes, and had the chance to probably get it down there to at least set a field goal. No, well,
yeah,
no, you can't win with a field goal, but you could have had at least a chance to throw a Hail Mary with time left on the clock. But yes, I mean the trying to make a tackle, and then Braylon Womack, that was the dude that was the guy that made the strip fumble, stripped the ball out of the hands, and it's just picked up and taken from there.
what uh, what was his stats? Because you know,
Braylon Womack, when I'm looking at him on his passing, he had one attempt, 7 yards. His long was seven, and his no, that was rushing. Receiving was eight, and then 39 yards, but no touchdowns. But his longest was 12 yards.
yeah, if you look at it, most the touchdowns was running the ball. But yeah, Braylon Womack is probably their most talented player. Um, he's I mean, a 4 star. I mean, they had some D1 players on the team. One guy, um, Deuce Vaughn, I think is his name. He's committed to Arkansas. I think they have a guy that's committed to Alabama, and so, but overall they have some studs on Hartfield. But Hartfield. I mean, I don't know who I want to win. But Hartfield is back-to-back champions.
Yeah, just to be honest here, I think, and I guess it's because our when we was at Simpson, our little thing against Hartfield, but I really did not have Hartfield winning this one, but I mean, it was just, but I mean, but to pull that aside, it was just a great state championship game. Both teams played pretty good. All in all, when I look at this weekend of the state championship game from 1A to 6A, all the games were very good. Everybody really got after it. All the scores stayed within a pretty good margin, so it wasn't like we had a blowout game here, a blowout game there, a blowout game there, and then it was like and like only two games were like the best. Like everybody kind of stayed very good. At least the first half, it kept competitive, and then the second half, the team that was expected to win kind of took their toll to win in the second half. So I mean, that's just football right there.
Yeah, that is. What a good weekend for some MAIS football, and next year I hope hopefully they can hopefully Simpson will win it all, but hopefully those hopefully there'll be some great games, and just a really fun weekend of watching football, and just seeing I mean, really wasn't any surprises, but just what a wait, but what a way to end it. But yep. So that's 1 through 6. Um,
So
we
obviously, I know this was supposed to be about the MIS football, but we do want to go back a little bit on. We want to go back. We want to talk about tomorrow for you at least. I mean, State and Ole Miss tomorrow. I mean, guess what is your take for this game tomorrow?
well, it's actually Friday, but okay,
Oh, Friday. Excuse me, Friday.
tomorrow's Thanksgiving. But no, um, my take. I mean, Ole Miss is the better team. They and I mean, look if you look at them, they have a really good quarterback. Their defense is probably the best in the country, if not the country. But you know, I'm
Do
not.
you think Ole Miss will still make playoffs even with the win against State, or do you think have they already been cut out of it after the loss last week?
Well, looking at the playoff, uh, they came out with the playoff rankings last night, and Ole Miss is number 14. So
They're
I
just
think,
outside of it.
I think, I think some teams are going to have to lose for them to get in. Like, I mean, if there is a 3-loss team that gets in, it's Alabama. Uh,
I
but
don't. I'm sorry, but I gotta disagree with you. Um, I just don't see Alabama going into the playoffs. I mean, we do see the teams that have beat, but look at the teams that got beat by two unranked teams. Just highly disappointed performance from Alabama last week. Like I really expected better out of Jalen Milroe. I
yeah,
just did not see the Jalen Milroe that was there against Georgia, and I clearly did not see the same Jalen Milroe that played against Vanderbilt. I saw a worse version of Jalen Milroe. So I don't. To me,
yeah,
Alabama losing to 3 games already bad enough, and then but 2 of them to unranked teams, highly disappointed in them. So I mean, I will be shocked if Alabama gets in the playoffs. But for me, there's gonna have to be a couple of key teams that's gonna have to get beat this weekend for Bama to have a chance to go into a playoff with 3 losses.
yeah. It's a stat slate this weekend. It all comes down to championship. This is it. I mean, there's you know the some teams are looking to get in the get it in, and going back to the Egg Bowl, man. You know, State's 2-10. They was it was it the best year? Um,
Obviously, this probably wasn't the best year, and I know you've probably been very disappointed in it. I'm
yeah,
sure.
man. I mean, it's frustrating, because your starting quarterback goes down with the season-ended injury, and you have to go to the true freshman who hasn't played college football in his life, and going into and mean and he did pretty good against Georgia and Texas, but you know going into the Egg Bowl, you know State and Ole Miss doesn't like each other. I think probably outside of Michigan and Ohio State, probably the most heated rivalry. Um, but I think I think Ole Miss wins. I don't think State. I don't know. I mean, they could keep it close, but I don't think at the end. I think Ole Miss will eventually win. I don't know. I
Yeah,
think
I don't. I know. I hate to say it for you, but I have to go with you. I don't see State coming out of this one Friday in a victory unless The only thing I can get out of this one is if State's coach can tell them, like, basically, if it was for me coaching Mississippi State, like y'all ignored LSU, like, if it's me coaching Mississippi State, I would say 10-2. You're not going to bowl games. You're not going to any kind of playoffs. So you're not even going to play another game. Literally, you have nothing to lose. The
Yeah,
only thing, really, Ole Miss has something to lose if they lose to State tomorrow. And I
yeah,
think that's what the mindset needs to be to State Friday. They need to play like they have nothing to lose. Basically, the Egg Bowl is basically their somewhat of a bowl game, I guess we
that,
can say. So,
yeah,
I mean, like they have nothing to lose. So I feel like the coach from this is that he needs to get his team in a mindset state that says we have nothing to lose, so why not get one more win? Why not? Because all Ole Miss has to do is win one game, and then it takes one or two teams to get beat, and then they're back in the playoffs. Whereas State can put them officially out of the playoffs with a win because they play like they have nothing to lose.
yeah. I mean, like you said, that's the mindset.
That's just a motivational thing to me. That's what
Yeah,
I would say.
yeah. If I was a coach, that I mean, same thing, mindset. Go into the game. You obviously you want to you just want to rip their throats out. I mean, you don't have nothing to lose. I mean, you're not going to a bowl game. You are playing for something. You also, when you're playing for the golden egg, you also playing for pride because you want to beat Ole Miss. But yeah, it's going to be tough. You know, I don't think State's not going to win this game. Ole Miss is definitely the better team. So it's at 2:30 on Friday. You know,
That actually surprised me that it's the afternoon game. I was really hoping a night game.
yeah, the night game will be electric in Vaught Hemingway. But I mean, I'm surprised. I'm surprised they moved it to Friday. But
Mm-hmm.
but again,
Obviously, you know us
I,
for LSU. We're going to be playing Oklahoma Saturday, senior day for our Tigers. You know, very proud of senior class this year. Obviously,
yeah,
disappointed that we couldn't complete the mission like I wanted to. I really hope with this 12-team tournament playoff, I really hope that LSU can finally earn their rights to be in the tournament without having to be a certain rank. They can be in the tournament based on how great they play. But 3-week losing streak was just really killed LSU. So I was really disappointed that we were put out of the top 25 and no longer getting a chance at playoffs. And then you look at Alabama, got beat by Oklahoma. I mean, it really shows you there that we really should have beat Alabama. Really disappointed in that game, and then it really should have showed you that we should have beat Florida. We there was literally LSU. We played the most pathetic we've ever played those 2 weeks, and that really just killed us in the standings of the rankings. But this Saturday is senior day. We got the games to win to go to bowl game. So,
mhm,
you know, at this point it's about playing to win that next game, but you're gonna play in a bowl game. So,
yeah,
we'll see how that goes for LSU. But,
you know, yeah,
hopefully maybe once the season's over, I hope Brian Kelly can really get into the fields and start figuring out what must LSU do to get back on top because
yeah,
we are really showing setbacks and it's not looking good for us or the football team.
yeah. Obviously, I mean, the off season. I mean, you gotta go get you got for state included. You gotta go get better players. And I think it depends. If Gus Meyer comes back for another year or goes to the NFL, I have no idea.
I think he'll probably be back. So we have another year with him. Like,
Yeah, I
woo!
mean, there's, if y'all can, I mean, y'all got LSU got great receivers. You know, they got a great quarterback, got a great core of running backs. You know,
Kyron Lacey, and Mason Taylor, they've both been very good on the receiving end this year. I've seen a lot of good things out of them too.
yeah, before we wrap up, I mean, like you said, I mean, you got to replace Mason Taylor because he's going to the NFL. But yeah, for LSU, you know, the Florida game was, even even if y'all even if y'all lost to Alabama, if y'all beat Florida, the Alabama game wouldn't matter. I mean, y'all probably still be in.
I think, well, the from what I heard about the Bama game, it was basically the Bama game had to be a win for us because
Yeah.
you
Uh,
know it's all about beating Bama. When you're it doesn't matter what team it is. It can be LSU, State, Ole Miss. When it comes to playoffs, it's all about beating that one team, and you got to beat Bama. And we
well,
failed to do that. We just failed miserably to do that.
yeah. I mean, Alabama. They've been whenever. I mean, going back to Nick Saban and his time at Alabama, they've been on top of college football. Like they won multiple national championships,
Multiple SECs.
multiple SEC championships, and I mean, Nick Saban retired, and you're seeing Alabama come falling down.
Yeah, I think and that's what I basically told you before the season started. I said it's about Bama. I said they're not going to have the same. Bama's still going to be good, but they're not going to have the same level of consistency as they had with Nick Saban, and then we're seeing that. I mean, we basically seeing it played out. The
Yeah. So
consistency from Bama is not the same.
yeah. So we'll see. We'll see what happened this weekend. A rivalry weekend. All the teams. All the teams. Before we get out of here, which one? Which one? Which game are you most excited to watch?
Obviously, Michigan, Ohio State. I'm very excited to watch that game. That is one of my favorite rivalry games besides the Army and Navy game and Texas and Oklahoma. That is basically one of my favorite games. Super excited to see that. And then, of course, Friday, ready to see Ole Miss and State. Just two Mississippi teams, two teams that I really don't like. I mean, like it's crazy. Mississippi boy does not like Mississippi teams. I know it, but guess what? I love to see my two teams that I don't like battle it out and
Eh,
just hurt each other for me. Like
And,
LSU, we've already beat y'all. Like now we just want to watch y'all
and
go at it.
you know that's yeah that's a little surprising. For Mississippi, not going for the Mississippi team, but hey, it is what it is. LSU. I mean, LSU's a great team to root for, and but for me, I mean, for me, I go Tiger. Yeah, for me,
Yeah, go Tigers always.
yeah. For me, I grew up a Mississippi State fan. I mean, it's still a long ways up there to start for, but I've been, watching, growing up, watching Mississippi State, Dak Prescott, and all those great players. And, it's just, State been pretty decent in football, maybe, and like 14. We was the number one team. That's probably the most exciting year, but yeah, we'll see what happens this weekend. Really exciting football. Dylan, appreciate your time, brother.
Yes. And before we jump off, we want to give a shout out to the MIS network. To Brian Eubank of the Voice of JA. Outstanding job by him and his crew this week. It's one thing to skit to. It's one thing to have to cover a lot of to cover championship games, but to cover a lot of these championship games like back to back, like no rest, no break, and having to, you know, basically once this game gets off the air, basically turn around and work another game. Like it's basically like that. Like the cameras stop rolling from this game, and then the cameras are rolling again for the next game. So
Yeah.
really good. So really good production by Brian Eubank and them. Really proud of them. Of course, thank you for this is for Brian Eubank. Thank you for providing the championship games for us because obviously there's a lot of people that really can't go to Jackson Academy or go to Clinton to watch games. So it's really convenient for some of us at home, like me and you, to sit down and just enjoy some good football without having to, travel or having to get out in the cold. So it's really convenient for us. And especially when it looks good on TV and so, thank you to him and JA production crew and the
Yeah.
MIS. Just keep up the good work. It is awesome. We love it. I love it 100%. Can't wait to see some overall basketball in March.
Yeah, and hopefully, yeah, before we get out of here, but hopefully, hopefully Simpson makes a good run in February. But yeah, Brian, yeah, the JA network they work tirelessly with doing this, basketball, football, all kinds.
Soccer, volleyball, like literally every state championship game that you want to watch it's all there for you. They do a very good job. So if Brian Eubank, if you ever hear this from me and Kobe, we both want to say thank you so much. Excellent job. And we hope one day maybe us two can join you one day. Like we would love to join you and call some games, but until then, we're gonna keep watching. We appreciate you and your production, and of course, MIS. Great job as always, and congratulations to once again to Briarfield, DeSoto, Kirk, Tri County, Parkland, and Hartfield on state championships. Good to see them get some rings. Go get y'all some rings. Get y'all some T-shirts. Go get y'all a banner, and live long and live that history long forever.
Yep, y'all hear it first. Well, Dylan, hope next year we can hopefully, Lord willing, hopefully, recap some more championship games. But so that's gonna be, we covered everybody.
And from me, and also from me and Kobe, which Kobe, you can say something too, but from me and Kobe, we want to say to our viewers that's watching this or the viewers that's going to watch after it, we say God bless y'all, and we hope y'all have a very happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy the time with your family because trust me and Kobe can tell you, family is the most important. And just give God glory because without Him, we would not be sitting where we're at today.
Yeah, absolutely. What he said, yeah, give God the glory. Hope y'all have, you know, yeah, whoever, I mean, the listeners that listen to this, happy Thanksgiving for me and Dylan, and go spend time with y'all's family, and I definitely will, and eat some good food, and we'll come back. Hopefully we'll do another one of these. D.
Oh, yes. And always, go Tigers.
See y'all.